This area of showing the area of Jabalia to Gaza City, just total destruction. And that's what Israel has been doing, not a targeted military operation, but a genocide against the population where the red blots cover the entire area. Again, this is satellite imagery from the middle of January of bomb damage from Israeli airstrikes, just totally covering the entire area. And the Israeli Defense Ministry the other day bragged about how they have received 250 cargo planes worth of weapons and material from the United States, more than 20 container ships full of weapons, totaling more than 10,000 tons. These are American weapons shipped to Israel throughout this 124 days at a rate of 2 cargo planes a day, unloading this equipment and then having it be dropped on the Palestinian population in the Gaza Strip. And we've seen the Israelis do this through their TikTok videos that we also learned this week from a report from Haaretz, that it's the Israeli Operations Directorate that is behind these TikTok videos that are released. One channel in particular that is very popular within Israel, which shows torture, gore, and destruction, and that has been a military that came from the Israeli military, which we of course knew all along it came from the Israeli military. We saw them stage the arrests, the mass arrests, and force Palestinian civilians to walk towards them with guns that they said that they had, which they clearly didn't have. And then these social media videos get disseminated throughout Israeli society, and they're coming from the Israeli army. This is a goal of the Israeli army, to create this destruction and to show that to their population that that's what they're doing. Not targeting Qassam, not destroying the militants, but targeting the civilian population, humiliating them, arresting them, stripping them naked, torturing them, destroying the entire infrastructure of the Gaza Strip, the schools, the hospitals. That's the only thing that's been systemically targeted. There's no sign in any of the Israeli military reporting of anything like the 10,000 fighters that they said have been killed by the Israeli military, according to Israeli numbers, which is more than the total number of men killed in the Gaza Strip, because we know, as you said at the beginning of the show, Nora, that 75% of the targets of this war have been women and children. And so even the Israeli numbers of what they say are dismantling the Qassam brigades are just clearly not true. And the New York Times actually, for the first time, 120 odd days into the war, for the first time reported on the way that these TikTok videos have been disseminated within Israeli society, despite the fact that this has been going on. And you can see here in this grid map that Tamara is showing us, these are the mines that the Israelis have laid and these buildings and blown them up, entire neighborhoods that we're seeing examples of, neighborhood after neighborhood just flattened for no military purpose. Later on in this file, we see Israeli soldiers blowing up a neighborhood, and they're saying on the camera that we're blowing up 21 houses in honor, whatever you want to call it, for the 21 soldiers who were killed in Maghazi when they were laying. Here, let's show the clip here. So we're going to destroy 21 houses in the terrace for the memory of the soldiers that were killed. So you're seeing absolutely no military purpose to what's going on. The original Maghazi attack was to destroy 10 houses in the middle camps area. And here we have soldiers saying they're destroying 21 houses in the Khan Yunis area as revenge. This is a revenge operation that the Israelis are carrying out. And despite their claims that they're dismantling Hamas in the Gaza Strip, their own intelligence shows that Hamas has reconstituted itself in the areas which we reported on right from the beginning, when Israel said that they had absolute control over the north, and it was obvious months ago that they didn't have that. It's even more obvious now when their forces have had to reinvade Gaza City in order to try to have some sort of, that's Isra University that we're watching there, just be vaporized. All 7 universities in the Gaza Strip have been destroyed, and we've seen Israeli soldiers stand in front of these demolitions and say things like, oh, now there's not any more engineers in the Gaza Strip because they destroyed these universities. And so you can see clearly the intent, and I guess that's what the ICJ was dealing with here, is because normally in genocide, the intent is the difficult thing to prove. For the Israelis, the intent is the easiest thing to prove because there's absolutely no military objective to vaporizing these neighborhoods. They're trying to make the Gaza Strip unlivable for the civilian population. And in these videos that we haven't showed for this war, I haven't showed these videos because I think they're disgusting and appalling. You can see them on social media, and here they're cheering. The soldiers are cheering for this destruction of a civilian neighborhood. So maybe we can go to number 9 tomorrow, because in Khan Yunis the other day, while the Israelis were demolishing, this is the poorest people in the Gaza Strip, people living in makeshift huts in Khan Yunis. And here comes a D9 bulldozer flattening its way for no military purpose through the poorest people in the Gaza Strip's homes. And he emerges here in his bulldozer with pieces of the family's homes all over the bulldozer. And there's a Qassam fighter waiting for him right there. And the shot hits the cage of the vehicle, a direct hit on the bulldozer that's demolishing these houses. What we're looking at for the listening audience is ramshackle houses made of corrugated metal metal and sheets, and we have a bulldozer, an armored bulldozer provided by Caterpillar, speaking of boycott.
Which is in Illinois, just a few miles away.
The United States Caterpillar company here. And then you can see this fighter, literally two fighters, because we have a cameraman and a shooter, standing right in front of the vehicle, the D9 armored bulldozer, and then escaping back to their base through the tunnels. So I just wanted to show that one video.
How do you think the bulldozer crew came out?
That is for sure 2 fatalities. There's no question. You can see the weapon, which is an 85 millimeter tandem charge. You can see it detonate twice, once inside the cab. And so Israel did acknowledge 2 killed in Khan Yunis this week. But as we've reported a number of times on this program, Israel's not being forthcoming with their casualties. And despite the fact that they said that they were going to report every day on their casualties, they haven't been doing that in the new year. And they're doing it largely to cover up these kind of morale. They're trying to keep the morale in their forces up long enough.
No, but John, when the Israelis do announce deaths like this, they say that these soldiers died in combat defending Israel. Does that look like combat to you?
No, this is, I can't stress enough that this is the poorest section of the Gaza Strip, the most impoverished people who are living here with corrugated metal housing. And you have an Israeli military that decided one morning that the target of their day's operations are going to be to flatten this makeshift camp. And honestly, that video is one of the most just straightforward street justice videos that we've seen in this war. The way that bulldozer has people's homes hanging off of it at the moment it's struck by the Palestinian fighters. I just wanted to show that in context of these destruction, of the satellite imagery of destruction, which makes it difficult because when we show the satellite imagery, it's all splotched with red, and it's hard to understand what we're looking at with the totality of the destruction. But this video here shows you what it looks like. This is one of the ways that they demolish houses. They demolish them sometimes with bulldozers brick by brick, and they show videos of it. They showed one the other day where they lifted the chair out of the house and put it to the side while they slowly recorded a TikTok video destroying a house that has no military objective. We watched them blow up that university, Israel University. No military objective. In fact, the schools that the Israelis are blowing up, the United Nations schools and the universities, were used by the Israelis as military bases. So we know that there's actually no tunnels in those schools because the Israelis use them as a base. We know that they're not being used by the Qassam brigades because the Israelis are using them as a base. And then when they leave and withdraw, which they're doing right now in large numbers, withdrawing from the Gaza Strip, they destroy as they're leaving. And so we will show more of those coming up. But when we're talking about the ceasefire and what Israel's trying to accomplish, I just always want to start these resistance videos by showing that the target of this war is civilians. And we've reported on it for 4 full months now. But I just wanted to start off with that. And we'll